whole idea that this came out, cyber kill chain, I love it. However, it doesn't help me in the scenario when I'm trying to figure out how to defend. It gets me into the mindset of what the adversary is doing, but I really want to know what's my position. So I started mapping things out, people, process, technology, and metrics, really understanding how do I position my organization and myself against these types of attacks. A little background, Director of Information Security for Accubant, so focused a lot on our internal program, helping out with strategies of others. And I use a lot of threat modeling exercise to understand how people's programs are positioned, and then what are some strategic investments that they need to make. So, then it brings in some of the ninjas like Martin and company, right? As I mentioned, this is an experiment. Why? I've done this many times, but not in 50 minutes. So, next slide. Right? Format agenda, 25, then we'll break into 15, come back, and then 10 minutes, I got a little bit of buffer room in there, which we're burning into now, so let's keep it going, 20 minutes. So the first thing, just wanted to break it down for everyone. So I did this a while back with the South Carolina breach, right? Trying to figure out how did this attack actually work? What were the different steps that happened, right? I don't have to threat model myself. What I like to do is figure out what does the attack look like against others, and then how am I positioned against that same attack, right? What's my defensive strategy against this attack? 2 reasons. 1, I need to know how am I positioned against it. 2, I can take this to the executives and I can say, look, here was this very public attack. We all know about this. Holy shit, here's where we're at. Here's how we're positioned against this same attack. We need to be doing something here, right? Not talking FUD. This is actually happening. We have intellectual property. We have data we have to try to protect. You can lay it out very simply, right? Then what I like to do is I like to up-level it. So you understand what the map looks like, what the attack kind of looks like. Now you try to build a pattern. Out of that pattern, now you're starting to build what I like to call like the kill chains, which I say in front of this group, but I don't like to say in front of developers and other people because then they're like, oh, put cones on your head, you guys are paranoid, go back in your hole, security guy, don't come back for a while, right? But if I start talking about attack maps, anti-patterns, things like that, now they're starting to be receptive about things, right? So internally, this is something that we came up with. You can see the difference there, right? That's what I build. That's what marketing builds. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I build this stuff on the bottom, too, that you can't see, so I try to hide that, right? But build it out and then try to understand what is this pattern. Once you understand the pattern, that's what we're trying to build today. Once you understand that pattern, now you can understand your defenses. And you can share your defenses. There's also some exercises, some groups that are doing this at a higher level. There's a group that presented at RSA a few years ago called Extreme Cyber Planning or Extreme Cyber Scenario Planning. They're based out of Australia. I've met with those guys. They're pretty legit. It's from the largest financial services groups in Australia, which isn't that big in the US, but still big in Australia. Some of the Australians are pretty legit with security and also. They have that going on. The problem is their meetings are at like 3 a.m. our time. So I'm trying to maybe get something going where we can build patterns here and participate in their program and help them out, and also we get the benefit as well. So next, red team exercise. So I have 8 different scenarios. What I'm going to do is take each, so we basically have 4 quads, split the quad in half, and then I'll give you guys scenarios. Get out your laptops, whatever you understand with the attack, break it down. I got a timer. I'll jump in when it's about time for us to break. I'll give us a 2-minute warning. But the whole idea, and I can even grab the piece of paper in the back, whole idea is start to build the maps, right? Some of the attacks I have, right? One, the Apple attack. Haven't seen it modeled out very well. Another one, what happened on the DNS attack when Twitter and New York Times got taken over, and when I was in, actually I was in Australia when this happened. They were freaking out about it, but the rest of the world didn't really care. A DDoS attack, so we have the Operation Payback, target attack, eBay, DDoS, cloud storage, and then just web application. The last 2, whoever gets those, they're basically build your own. Think about how these attacks would exist, map it out really quickly, figure out what the pattern is. Are there commonalities? Right? Definitely an attack against a web application that's a DDoS or a DOS type of attack is totally different than a SQL injection or type of injection attack. Trying to break that down, trying to understand your positioning, right? So, there we go. I will, I guess, you 4 start to put it together. You guys are lucky you get the Apple attack. The other thing, because this could go very badly, so I knew that up front, so we will be also buying some drinks for everyone while we're doing this to help out. Because if I can't get you with the session, then I will definitely get you with drinks. All right, so you guys get the Apple Melbourne IT DNS attack, so just start researching it. Tell me what were the different steps that happened. How did this actually take place, right? Were there multiple patterns inside of each? DDoS attack. So I guess you guys kind of right here, start researching that. We got the target attack over here.
That's cheating.
Oh, well then you got to go somewhere else. All right, so this is the recent eBay one. The eBay attack that happened. And then we have all right. There we go. Cloud storage. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
You can do this. I've done it on my whiteboard at home. You can call Alex. I've shown him. It was against our cloud storage provider. So I was trying to model it out and figure out like where does two-factor authentication and different authentication like ping identity, any of those, where do those come in? How do they actually help me? That type of stuff. But first I got to figure out how the hell do you attack this group?
So am I attacking the cloud storage provider themselves? Well, because that's what I would do. Right.
There you go.
We're building with it. All right.
All right, I think everyone, it sounds like everyone's doing really good getting a handle of this. I wanted to jump into, for sake of time, yeah, we got 22 minutes left. So we went through red teaming. I think everyone, I see like some really good models being created and all. The next thing, I was going to have someone present, but probably not going to for sake of time because we started a few minutes late. So now we're actually going to get into blue teaming, right? So take that same attack model that you just created and thought about. Now, how would you actually position? How would you put defenses in place and countermeasures, right? So what we have in our pretty marketing stuff is people, process, technology, and metrics. What are the different things in each stage of that attack that you can actually put in place to position and understand, right? On the reconnaissance, how do you help people on reconnaissance tech? You educate them, right? The process of actually going through education awareness, right? It's not just about delivering it once, it's about having a reoccurring process and getting it done. And then technology, any technologies that you can put in place, right? That's a force multiplier, I like to say. And then what metrics? How would you actually know if someone's actually attacking you and trying to get reconnaissance data on your organization just in this model? So how would you do that in your guys' attacks that you've built? So we'll do this for about 15-ish minutes, and then we'll kind of get some takeaways, and that's it. All right. I'm going to start wrapping it up. We are at 3:42? Yeah. So I got like 7 minutes, so we'll start wrapping it up and bringing everyone back together. Everyone's having too much fun threat modeling. Damn, the problems we have. All right. Got your attention. So takeaways. So hopefully everyone find that good exercise? Saw a lot of people. Does anyone use threat modeling or do this type of activity inside of your orgs? Got a couple. How are you guys? Have you guys done it red team, blue team? Do you do it? Do you do it every quarter, every month? Share. What is it? Quarterly. Here, I'll buy you a drink for that one. Were you drinking? Did you have a drink? I got to give these things away. I'm not going to drink them. All right. So you guys do quarterly. Do you do it for like your strategic program, or do you just what's your?
Based off the threat model, certain threats that are common or that you mentioned earlier, like if the organization just got hit by something that everyone's afraid of,
Yeah.
we would run all that and run that as an exercise.
Cool. There's a lot of things that you can start to do off of it as well, right? Now, one of the things I was working with one group, they really didn't understand their threat model, so I said, okay, well, here's a high-level pattern of what the threat model exists. Where are you guys worried about from a attack and pin? So I started scoping some attack and pin exercises that way. They were really focused on, okay, once malware gets in and there's command and control established, I want to be able to detect those two pieces. We think we're good on data security, and we think we're kind of good on phishing, or we're not going to worry about that right now. So I started scoping in efforts. I knew kind of, I was mapping out, where are you guys going? What do you need to focus on, right? If you focus on everything, you'll never succeed. A lot of times you just got to focus in, get the wins, I call them feathers in the hat, and keep on moving forward, right? Another one I found, I don't know if you found this too, doing this on like a quarterly or monthly basis, and I mentioned this to you guys, right? It's really good for team building. It's constructive. You can get your team, the GRC people really know, why am I part of the program? It's not just to meet some policy compliance, right? It's not just for that. My role is also to help defend the organization against attacks, and here's our position, and here's where I fit in, right? People, process, technology, metrics. Here's how all this works together. And so you can serve. I mean, I feel bad for firewall admins, if there's any in here, sorry. But firewall admins, I mean, they've been getting slaughtered, right? How do they actually help against a phishing attack? I don't know. I mean, there's not much that maybe you can do. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot that they can do nowadays, but later on in the stage, there's things that they can do to help out. Network segmentation, visibility into control points, things like that, where that's very critical, very core, right? And you start doing that, and you get the network team included in it, start building that cross-functional relationship, right? There's always kind of this strange adversarial relationship between groups, and there shouldn't be, right? We're all trying to work together, really, to solve this problem. For the most part. And then the last thing, again, the strategic planning, right? And I found huge benefits in using this, understanding where we at today, what's the latest attack, how can I communicate this up, how are we positioned, is the attack, is it changing? If you look back, there's been some major changes in attacks. When Vidito and I worked together, the guy right up front, which I haven't seen him in a long time, give him a shout out. When we worked together at a financial services org, we did a lot of physical stuff. It was all about, smash and grabs and being able to get in and steal data that way. The threat is always changing. Then web apps started really coming about. SQL injection started getting really, really hot, right? We started jumping on that, right? The threat changes, and as that threat changes, just like business models change, threat models change. Right? And you have to draw that correlation. You have to bring that together, and you can explain it. You can have a business conversation around it, and so that's pretty much it. I'll open it up for some Q&A. Got one hand already.
So, in our SSDLC process, we do a high-level speech drive, basically, with that model for the application security side. We have new level zeros all the way down to the function. So, we're trying to implement our threat modeling program. We're getting a lot of pushback from more of a attack chain, skill chain perspective, is what we're trying to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, the pushback that we're getting now is, that's part of the software security component. How do you show them, other than just using skill chain type stuff, skill chain analysis?
So on application dev, I've used this in application dev very heavily, where I actually start to come up with the anti-use cases and the malicious use cases, or if they have a use case, actually start looking at the other paths for that use case, they get malicious. And so I've had a lot of success with that, getting architects, designers, developers, and even product managers to start thinking about how could this use case go wrong. And now you're starting to get into resiliency and building a more resilient system overall. And ultimately it goes into the backlog. But there's some other tactics that you can start to do inside of there, even further down, to show, hey, here's some cost models against this. Here's how this is important if it comes back, and here's how if we do it right here, it's very simple. And there's a lot of data out there, like here's how much a defect costs to catch at this point, and here's how much it costs to catch at this point. So I've used that as well. And that really helped me out a lot to get some of the automation and tooling, and then also to start getting some of that modeling included up front. There's some pretty cool tools out there. I mean, Microsoft's done an amazing job with their SDL threat modeling stuff. I've had a lot of talks lately with Threat Modeler. That group seems like they're pretty cool, where they're automating a lot of stuff coming in. So a lot of CVEs and stuff they'll actually map in. I actually have some meetings next week to build that out. It's pretty cool stuff, right? And it's all based off of threat modeling, right? Build that model, understand how you could be attacked, and then position yourself for it. So I got a red ticket for you too.
Give someone else that already got
Whoever wants it, they can. Who said?
We got a taker back there.
All right. I can't give it to an Akibont person. I'll buy you a drink for the cord. All right. Oh no! Don't give it to the. I'll buy him a drink. I promise. We pay money for So. All right, well, thanks everyone for attending. Thanks, if you guys have any follow-ups, hit me up on Twitter. Find me on LinkedIn, james.robinson@Akibont. There you go.